These are 5 of the most popular SUVs on the road today, and according to the people who actually own them, they are also among the worst you can buy. Not the rarest, not the cheapest, not the strangest. Popular, mainstream SUVs that thousands of drivers chose with confidence and then quietly came to regret. Here is why this matters more than ever. The average price of a new car climbed to nearly $49,000, and financing rates have been sitting stubbornly around 7%. A vehicle is the second biggest purchase most people ever make, right behind a house. And when an SUV that expensive turns out to be unreliable, it doesn't just frustrate you, it quietly drains your bank account for as long as you own it. So let's be clear about where this list comes from, because this is not one mechanic's opinion. Consumer Reports runs an annual reliability survey built on data from more than 300,000 vehicles. They ask hundreds of thousands of real owners whether their vehicle had any trouble in the last 12 months across 20 separate problem areas, and they weigh the results by severity. A squeaky piece of trim barely moves the needle. A failing transmission moves it a lot. What you're about to hear is what those owners reported, backed up by federal recall records. These are the 5 SUVs the data says to think very hard about before you sign anything. The first one will surprise people because it wears one of the most respected badges in the world. It's the Mercedes-Benz GLE. On paper, the GLE is everything a luxury SUV should be. A beautiful cabin, premium materials, a long list of powertrain choices. But Consumer Reports named the GLE the least reliable mid-size SUV for the 2025 model year. The problem areas owners reported were not small ones either. They span the brakes, the electrical accessories, the fuel system, the climate system, and the transmission. Owners described the 9-speed automatic shifting R, roughly, with jerky gear changes, and they describe an infotainment system that freezes and crashes often enough to become a daily annoyance. And then there is the recall record. In March of 2024, federal regulators covered roughly 116,000 GLE and GLS models built with a 48-volt mild hybrid system. The concern was a ground connection that could come loose, and in the worst case, lead to a fire. Now, in fairness, some GLE owners report a perfectly good experience, and the cabin really is a lovely place to sit. But the lesson here is one a lot of buyers learn the expensive way. A luxury badge buys you luxury. It does not buy you reliability. The second SUV is one of the best-selling vehicles in America, which is exactly what makes it so important to talk about. It's the Jeep Grand Cherokee. The Grand Cherokee is everywhere. It's handsome, it's capable, and it sells in enormous numbers. But on Consumer Reports' predicted reliability scale, the Grand Cherokee scored a 1 out of 5. That is the lowest score on the scale. You cannot do worse than a 1. The owner reports paint a clear picture of why. Drivers describe a check engine light that keeps coming back, faults tied to the driver assistance features like lane departure warning and transmission trouble. Among those transmission complaints, the one that comes up most often is slipping gears, the car failing to hold the gear it's in, and the recall history backs the concern up. The 2022 Grand Cherokee carried 18 recalls across its powertrain options in a single model year. 18. When a vehicle this popular posts numbers this poor, it tells you that sales volume and reliability are 2 completely different things. Plenty of people buy the Grand Cherokee. That doesn't mean it's taking care of them. The third SUV proves that even a sensible fuel-saving choice can go wrong. It's the Ford Escape Hybrid. This one stings because the Escape Hybrid is supposed to be the responsible pick. Compact, efficient, easy to drive, gentle on gas. But Consumer Reports ranks it only slightly above the Mercedes GLE, which places it among the very worst new SUVs the survey covers. It even appears on a separate Consumer Reports list of the least reliable cars overall, where it finished 8th out of 12. That means it was rated less reliable than all but a handful of the worst vehicles on the road. What goes wrong? Owners report trouble with the brakes and with the in-car electronics, describing an infotainment screen that goes unresponsive to the touch or simply goes blank. And in some cases, the failures reach the heart of the vehicle. Some owners have needed a full replacement of the hybrid battery, which is one of the most expensive repairs a hybrid can face once the warranty is gone. Ford has also issued recalls on certain 2.5-litre hybrid powertrains over the risk of engine failure and fire tied to britches in the engine block and oil leaking onto hot surfaces. The word hybrid sounds smart and safe, but the badge alone is not a promise that the vehicle underneath it was built well. The fourth SUV targets buyers who can least afford a surprise. It's the Volkswagen Taos. The Taos is Volkswagen's entry-level SUV, aimed squarely at people shopping carefully on a budget. The interior is genuinely nice for the price, neatly laid out and comfortable, but according to the 2025 Consumer Reports survey, the Taos is the least dependable subcompact SUV you can buy. The reported problem areas cover the brakes, the engine, the in-car electronics, and general noises and leaks. The engine problems are the ones that should give a budget buyer real pause. Owner feedback points to head gasket leaks, especially on the 2022 and 2023 models. A head gasket repair is expensive on any car, but here is the worst part. Some owners report the problem returning even after it was supposedly fixed. Drivers also describe the rear brakes wearing out faster than they should. When someone stretches their budget to buy an affordable SUV, an engine repair is the single worst news they can get. For a vehicle sold on the promise of value, that is a hard contradiction to ignore. The fifth SUV is the biggest surprise on the entire list, and it carries the most useful lesson. It's the Mazda CX-90, especially the plug-in hybrid version. Here is what makes this one genuinely unexpected. Mazda has spent years earning a reputation as one of the most reliable car brands you can buy. So when the CX-90 lands among the least reliable mid-size SUVs in the Consumer Reports survey, it stops you cold. The CX-90 is a beautiful vehicle, with a plush, upscale cabin that drives smaller than its size suggests. But owners reported trouble across an unusually wide range of systems: the steering and suspension, the climate control, the transmission, the in-car electronics, the electrical accessories, and even the EV battery. That is a problem list touching nearly every corner of the vehicle. Unlike several others here, the CX-90 collected multiple recalls inside its first 2 model years on sale. So why does a trusted brand build an SUV like this? That question is the real takeaway, and it points to the pattern hiding underneath this whole list. Look closely, and most of these vehicles share one trait: they were new. The CX-90 was an all-new model, and Consumer Reports gives one piece of advice about this directly. If you want to avoid reliability problems, do not buy a model in its first year, and do not buy one that was just redesigned. The evidence is everywhere in their data. The Chevrolet Equinox, the GMC Terrain, and the GMC Acadia were all redesigned for the 2025 model year, and all 3 landed with well below average reliability scores. Brand new and freshly redesigned vehicles arrive with what the industry politely calls teething problems. A model that has been on sale for 2 or 3 years has had those problems found, reported, and fixed. So here is the single most valuable habit you can take from this video. When you find an SUV you love, check whether it's an all-new or recently redesigned model. If it is, the smart move is often to wait, or to buy the previous proven version instead. The shiny new redesign is the one most likely to send you back to the shop. Let's bring this back to where we started. This is not about declaring that Mercedes, Ford, Jeep, Volkswagen, or Mazda build bad vehicles. Every one of those companies also builds genuinely good ones. This is about a simple truth that costs uninformed buyers thousands of dollars every year. A badge is marketing. A sales chart is marketing. A glossy ad is marketing. None of them tell you how the vehicle will treat you in year 3, when the warranty is Hinner and the repair bills are yours. The reliability data does tell you that. It's collected from real owners, it's free to look up, and it takes about 5 minutes to check before you ever set foot in a showroom. The buyers who get burned are almost never the ones who looked. They're the ones who trusted the badge and skipped the homework. So do the homework. Check the reliability score before the test drive, not after the breakdown. That one habit will save you more money than any negotiation trick ever will. If this helped you dodge an expensive mistake, subscribe, because the next video flips this around completely. We're covering the most reliable used SUVs you can buy right now, the ones that quietly run for 200,000 miles and barely ask for anything in return.